As billionaire Elon Musk continues his work with the Department of Government Efficiency, he has not spoken much about his company, Tesla. As new data shows, its electronic vehicle, well, the sales fell almost 9% in the first 3 months of 2025. What could be behind that? Steve Ratner has made his way over to the southwest wall with his charts. Let's start with Tesla. What's going on there, Steve?
Yeah, Meek, as you said, Tesla has actually hit a bit of a bump in the road, no pun intended. But you can see here that Tesla in its early years had huge sales increases, as you would expect, very popular, one of the few makers of really good electric vehicles in the country. But beginning in 2025, its sales kind of stagnated. Combination of really two reasons. One, some competition, more competition from other people trying to get in the business, including domestic manufacturers. And also the fact that people are getting their models Y and S, two of their most popular models, getting a little bit long in the tooth, so to speak. But look what happened here in the first quarter. In the first quarter, their sales went down 13%, more than they've ever done before. And that's across the world. If you look at just the U.S., you can see that all U.S. EV sales were actually up 11%, and Tesla was down 9%. And so what I think you are starting to see, and I'll get to this a bit more in a second, you are starting to see Musk's unpopularity weigh on Tesla's sales. Some of it is expected. Their market share, when you start with a very, very high market share, really only one way to go. And as I said, other people are making them. But look what happened in Europe in the first quarter. In Europe, their market share dropped enormously. And this, I do think, is heavily related to the unpopularity of both American products, frankly, as well as Elon Musk in Europe.
Interesting. And so Tesla tanking, what's the reason behind it?
So, yes, you can see the Tesla stock was back in September, October was down here. It had this, when Trump was elected, it took this huge run up because people thought that Musk was simply going to be a great beneficiary of the federal government's largesse. And then you can see that along with all the chaos and commotion and Trump's own personal issues, you can see Tesla stock's gone all the way back down. But Morgan Stanley did a survey, and they found that 85% of investors think that Musk's political activities are going to have a negative impact on Tesla's business fundamentals. And so, again, I think the market is starting to say that Musk is becoming too hot to handle, so to speak. But one other point about Musk that's worth making, which is that for all his talk about being anti-government, anti-government programs and things like that, Tesla has been an unbelievable beneficiary of government largesse. And so this is year by year. You can see here. The biggest piece of all of this, about $1.7 billion, are electric vehicle credits that Tesla sells to other automakers who are forced to comply with our electric vehicle and our fuel emission standards. So ironically, a program that Trump has talked about killing is one of the ones that Musk has been the biggest beneficiary of.
So let's just talk about Musk overall and Doge. I mean, the promises were, I don't know, target cutting $150 billion, $2 trillion annually from the budget. I mean, they went in there, a bunch of people, with, I believe, no clearance, no cabinet position. So there's those issues and those questions that have a lot of us wondering. But OK, so what's been the outcome of these grand projections?
So, yeah, as you said, there's been an enormous amount of commotion. You've had a bunch of people lose their jobs. You've had confusion all over the place. What do we have to show for it? Well, back during the campaign, Trump claimed that he was going to cut $2 trillion from our annual budget. And by the way, our annual budget is $7 trillion. So you're talking, he would have been talking obviously about a massive, massive cut. They quickly realized that was not successful. In January, they said we'll cut $1 trillion out of the budget. And by the way, the government's fiscal year is now more than half over anyway. But then on April 10th, they lowered it to $150 billion. So $2 trillion, $1 trillion, $150. But even the $150 billion, the New York Times did a very thorough investigation of this. $92 billion of it is unspecified. Nobody knows where that's coming from. Of the other $63 billion, there were all kinds of mistakes, including, for example, a contract for $1.9 billion they claim credit for actually canceled during the Biden administration. So for all the commotion, all the layoffs, all the unhappy people, there's very little to show for it. You can see that most clearly over here because this tracks federal spending month by month since the beginning of each year back from 2022. And as you would expect, it went up a little bit in 23, a little bit in 24, but it's actually gone up a good bit in 25. So there's still no impact whatsoever on government spending from all of, as I said, the commotion that Musk has created in Washington.
Wow. Morning Joe economic analyst Steve Ratner, thank you very much for coming on this morning. And John Heilemann, your thoughts on how Doge is doing?
Well, Mika, to Steve's point, I think some of us said from the very beginning that given the composition of the federal government and the federal budget, given how much of that goes to the big entitlement programs and defense spending, that you were not going to have much of an impact on the budget unless you started to take on some of those large programs. And so Elon Musk, he put his hand on the hot stove when he talked about how Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. People immediately bridled at that. That became a political liability for the Trump team. And, you know, Elon Musk made himself, as you'll remember, the face of that Wisconsin judicial election. He took a drubbing there. There's now been a lot of data that's looked at that election that showed that for all the money that he spent on that conservative judicial Supreme Court candidate, that he actually hurt the candidate more than he helped the candidate. And the Trump administration very quickly has been kind of ditching Musk and decoupling itself from Musk because he's become so unpopular. And just to get back to one thing Steve was saying a second ago, I am not a stock market analyst, but I'll tell you, when a thing starts to have a name out in America, Tesla regret syndrome, people are out there in the world right now peeling the Tesla not the logo, but the little symbol that they have on the car. People who own those cars are now going to places to have the Tesla symbol removed and replaced with an Audi symbol or a Toyota symbol or something else because people are now embarrassed, have buyer's remorse over driving Teslas around. That cannot be good for business, Mika.
Yeah, that's, better than other things that have been happening.
Can we talk about his legions of children in the Wall Street Journal expose? Please, please.
God.
That he's DMing
Claire.
women on Twitter and saying, have my baby.
What
and
is
giving them
that?
his sperm.
Oh.
And then he told one of the women, this killed me, told one of the women that he expected her to have a C-section rather than a vaginal birth because that would impact the size of this child's brain. Now, this is a guy that not only is destroying his company, but more importantly, he is a weirdo.
Yeah.
He is a weirdo.
Like a
and
harem.
the party of family values and moral majority, and he's got a harem, and he wants to call his children a legion. We don't even know how many kids he has.
That's
with how
my
many
favorite
women.
part is that
He
the
pays them to
reporting.
be quiet.
The reporting can't even bracket the reasonable range of how many
kids he has.
progeny.
With who?
And with who?
It's important that we point out this is reporting from the Wall Street
Wall
Journal.
Street Journal.
Yes.
We're not talking about.
Well, it's such an important detail, Mika, that when we reference these stories, it's not just the people at this desk.
Yeah.
It is data, empirics, conservative leaning traditionally when it comes to the editorial board of the Wall Street Journal, like outlets that really are just saying this, to Claire's point, is just profoundly weird.
Yeah, and disturbing. And how is he in on everybody's private information without any clearance? I'll go back to that.
But he's paying people to make sure his information is private.
Okay, that's just all doesn't seem good. John Heilemann, thank you very much.